I was sober, I was calm, I wasn't upset, and I'm looking at him and he's asking me questions, and I asked him, do you ever watch Western movies? And he said, yes. And I said, well, a friend of mine in Denver suggested a long time ago to me that if I were to watch a Western with a single-shot Western-style pistol in my lap or a Winchester-type rifle, that I would enjoy the movie more. And I did. Now, what was really crazy was that while I was being interviewed by this psychiatrist, the police went through my house and ransacked it and confiscated all my weapons. And when the dust settled and the smoke cleared, I was missing 6 ammo cans of 12-gauge shotgun and 9mm rounds, and they had taken all my weapons. And I was allowed to go and claim them the next day, but now they're all registered in the county. Listen. Veterans are on file. You're the enemy. This whole thing is a foreign takeover. So, of course, if you're a foreign banking takeover, the enemy is the troops. And you do their dirty work, but then you're the enemy later. So when you heard about this, though, did you hear Whitehead, the lawyer on the show, where he said they're rounding veterans up in that county? And they're rounding them up everywhere. I've been listening to you for years, Alex, and I appreciate what you do. I wish everybody could wake up to you. Those that I talked to, I think one of your callers in the last week or so suggested that you give us some advice as to how to talk to people who are asleep, because the minute I mention your name, I get resistance from people. And anyway, the close of
you know why you get resistance? That's because they know my name and they're afraid. They feel powerless, and so when they hear it, they're like, I don't want to hear about it. But as things get worse, they will be forced to wake up. I got to jump, but very interesting story. Let's go to Tim in Pensacola, Florida, then John in Chicago and others. Tim, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Alex. Thanks a lot. I'm a long-time listener here in Pensacola. I go back to the old WVTJ days.
Oh,
here.
Yeah, great station.
Yeah, back one of your first AM stations here in Florida. You asked for calls on some of the rip-off government boondoggles.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody actually called in on the topic. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to take it to an area where I think one of the greatest government boondoggles is the amount of money that we're paying in foreign aid to all of these region building projects where we're building government infrastructures around the world.
Yeah, it's over $300 billion a year, and I say take it away from everybody. Hey, don't take my house for the IRS so you can give $3 billion to Egypt. No, get rid of it.
That's right, and I don't call it nation building, Alex, and there's a lot of information on the internet as well on this. It should be called region building, because what we're doing is, you're familiar with the TAPI pipeline that's going to go through.
Yeah, stay there. Come back and finish your point, and then we'll get to John, Eric, Skip, Dean, Jeff, and Scott. I want to get everybody. I'll mention a few of the FEMA camp document numbers as well. But no. America's been taken over. Now the globalists exploit us to destroy other sovereign nations under the name of humanitarianism, to create poverty and to break things into regions. And that's all admitted. I mean, that's not even debated. They just think you're so stupid, you won't go read all the UN documents.
The Silver Lungs.
It is so frustrating to see people and their normalcy bias. And normalcy bias is where you just get conditioned to put up with anything. To the point of, you let the Nazis take your neighbor away and it's no big deal because, well, they've been doing it incrementally. Or, I'm going to let the TSA take my 5-year-old behind closed doors now. Not only is it groping in front of you, now it's groping privately. And, so what if nationwide it turns out they're hiring convicted perverts and robbers and bank robbers to work at the TSA? It's okay. It's the government. They're trying to condition you and break your will. I'll have to get more tomorrow into all of our articles I mentioned because I want to go to these calls dealing with the Army being taught that their enemy is the Tea Party and they're preparing for war with the Tea Party. That's even again in the Washington Times. The civilian inmate labor camp program, the re-education camp program, the Army admits, FM 3-39.40, internment resettlement operations. Talks about our Social Security numbers, how to process us in for political re-education. This is a very bad government, and it knows that it's trying to get the military to engage in treason, and those that won't are going to be the new enemy. Just like in France, if your country was occupied by the Nazis and you didn't serve the Nazis, you were a bad guy. Well, we're the bad guys. Those of us that aren't dumb, those of us that aren't idiots, those of us that are informed, those of us that aren't completely brain damaged by the fluoride, we're the bad men. Tim in Pensacola, finish your story about a boondoggle. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Alex. I wanted to use this region building concept to get into, just for a second, get into an area where I think you and I thought we had a little bit of a disagreement, maybe not. But do you remember I'm sure you do, the New York Times op-ed that Henry Kissinger wrote just after Obama was elected? It was called The Chance for a New World Order. And in that op-ed, he gave one of the greatest examples of Hegelian dialectic that I've ever seen. He said in that article that we have two options. Now is the time, we meaning the globalists, that we need to seize this opportunity for a global regulatory system. And if we don't do this, he said, we have to shrink back to more manageable size units. And then he went on to refer to regional units. And this is what I know.
No, you're just missing. You're missing the forest for the trees. They want mega regions that actually have the government power, and then the old national regions are broken into sub-mini states along racial, religious, and ethnic lines that the globalists then stir up and keep stirred up, and then the globalists play the part of referee. So it's 10 mega regions. This is a public plan with breakups into 3 to 5 to 7 regions per area along other lines as macro and mini states.
I think we're on the same page. It's just semantics. I agree with you. 10 mega regions, and eventually they want to go to the trilateral and the one system. But it's the 10 regions, and the reason I say that is because they're building these infrastructures in these 10 regions now, and those 10 regions are in existence now. They all have names.
No, it's all official, and then they know the public's dumbed down, so they go, that doesn't exist. They teach police there's no world government run by megabanks. Anyone that says it wants to kill you. These are cop killers. They teach them that. Meanwhile, it's on the news, world government being established by foreign banks. Thank goodness they rule us. Got to jump, Tim. I mean, it's just crazy. We've been occupied. They're mopping up right now. We've still got a First Amendment. Now the FCC here's the Drudge Report headline, power grab, FCC seeks to tax internet service. Kurt Nemo's got an in-depth article at Infowars.com on that. John in Chicago, you're on the air.
Hello, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. Yeah, everything you've been talking about exactly has been predicted by John Coleman. You know, UN takeover, everybody's going to love
it. Yeah, he was in MI6, and I want to get John Coleman back on. Did we try to get John Coleman back on? Yeah, let's get John Coleman, the author, back on.
Yeah, in Chicago, you know that there are on the trains about 7 cameras on like every single train. And
they now have TSA searching your bags on the roads and the bus terminals. Yep.
I was talking to someone yesterday, and he told me that he wants there to be no countries, and I wanted to ask you what do you think that would mean, no countries? Well,
you'll still have countries at the football games and things like that, but it's just a shell name for fake patriotism. But no countries means big mega banks doing whatever they want, taking over and jacking up your prices and shutting down competition. That is the New World Order. I appreciate your call, John. Eric in Texas, you're on the air.
Howdy, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
This is the Alex Gator radio show, I presume.
I'm missing what you're saying there, Eric.
I'm just joking. Anyway, there's some good solutions out there, especially on the energy front. And one is the Geetsville processor, who I saw an interview on Prisonplanet, and then the space power generator from Tawari out of India.
Send me an email on it. We're not really talking about alternative energy right now, but I appreciate your call, sir. Let's go ahead and talk to Skip in New York. Skip, you're on the air.
Hello, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
I've been listening for a few years. I don't pop up very often. I've given some news tips to you. This might be a little bit off subject, But about it's got to be 3.5 weeks ago, I heard a small blurb on a news broadcast, and that's the only thing I heard, that down in Georgia, the State House is voting on using guillotines as an alternative for capital punishment. And the premise that they're using is it will leave your organs in better condition to harvest them.
Yeah, no, I've seen different state governments talking about that as well. And, I mean, remember, states like Arkansas under Bill Clinton, who claims he loves gay people so much, for decades, when he was governor and then after he was governor, they would knowingly sell blood to Bayer filled with HIV and hepatitis, and Bayer knew, and they would ship it out to the hemophiliacs. I mean, these are the psychopaths who have absolutely no value for human life. Thank you for the call. Dean in New York, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
Good.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just wanted to touch on the taxation subject. Why wouldn't we maybe call out every taxation agent for who they are, like their name, where they live, what they did to us particularly, and all the way down from, let's say, the guy that writes you a ticket on the street to Timothy Geithner. I mean, if we really...
Yeah, we need to get aggressive. Government has gotten aggressive because it's stealing us blind, it's corrupt, and it wants to get rid of freedom because freedom and due process holds them accountable. Governments always want tyranny. And it is time to start pointing out, you want to charge me to go in a park that's been free forever, and then they admit so they can pay for the Formula One track for some guy that's so rich, ripping people off. He gave his daughter $4 billion last year as a gift. No! I am sick of your corporate welfare. I am sick of it. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, I kind of agree. So why wouldn't we as a whole, as a collective, set up something maybe at the end of their road?
Sir, look, it just takes you getting aggressive yourself. I can't organize it. It takes people like our forebears did, recognizing we got a bunch of slugs. Did you know George Washington, if you weren't an insider of the government, wasn't even allowed when they went out and cut down trees and set up good farmland, that the British aristocracy would take that land? They would only let you sell it to them for nothing, that you couldn't finish products and sell it to England or Europe. You had to send away to England to get your carriage or get your clothes and pay 20 times what it was worth. It was a monopoly. Our whole war to set up this country was about a bunch of pig insider monopoly people. That's the American system, is against that. And now we've gone right back to it. Let's jam in one more call. We'll try two more. Real fast. Jeff in Texas, then Scott in New York. Go ahead, Jeff.
Alex, man, the whole thing is just incredible. You're talking about boondoggles, and your guest, the caller just a few minutes ago, mentioned West Nile. Well, I mean, there's
that's a government manufactured, just like Lyme disease. The average person doesn't even know that.
Absolutely, and you know they haven't even isolated the virus. Never even been isolated.
They've discovered a new autoimmune disease. Yeah, the rats they feed GMO to get autoimmune disease. They've now got all these brain-eating amoebas in the regular tap water because they've gotten resistant to the chlorine. Oh, man, it's incredible. I know people that send their kids to the doctor, and the doctor doesn't even do a swab. They just give them antibiotics, which then creates superbugs. I'm out of time. Sorry to Scott. Got to most people. Love you all. You're awesome. I'll be back tomorrow. Lord willing, pray for us. 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern, on your local AM and FM stations or XM 166, or the free audio streams at Infowars.com, video streams at Prisonplanet.tv. Great job to the crew, the sponsors, the listeners. We couldn't do it without you. Get the free magazine digitally sent to your inbox at Infowars.com/newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow. Retransmission starts now.